All right, everybody, good morning and welcome back to another episode of True Crime Loser. How's it going? No matter how it's going, just know no matter what problems you have going, whatever's getting your goat right now, just know that you're not having as bad of a day as Austin Jones, who's being sentenced today in a few hours, in a mere few hours, for his charge of production of child pornography. So, I'm not having a great morning. Me and the girlfriend got in a little bit of a fight this morning, but hey, at least I'm not being sentenced for a charge of child pornography. Austin. It's going to be interesting to see what he gets. Prosecution is going for 11 years. 11 years. Austin. All right, so let's get into Michael Dunn. He's in the hot seat. We went over leading up to the crime yesterday. You know, he wanted the music down. Now he's got to sit in the concrete shitbox. I hope it was worth it, Mikey. All right, so we start. Who is Mike trying to play in this interrogation? Well, he's trying to play the victim, the law-abiding citizen, the cool-headed innocent guy that just wanted the music down and then had a shotgun pointed at him. So what does that look like? A lot of yes sir and a lot of I don't know. You can tell that Michael Dunn's one of those guys that probably wanted to be in the military or really fantasized about being in the military but wasn't, and now he's got a lot of military friends. Anyone that always talks about, like, yeah, I wasn't in the military, but I got a lot of military friends and they showed me. Don't worry about it. They showed me. I basically know everything the military does because I got a friend that showed me. I got tactical pants and my friend showed me. So I'm essentially a general in the military. But he's very much like, yes, sir, he's trying to portray that I am a cool, level-headed guy that just got in a bad situation. And the cops, what's their strategy? They're treating him exactly like that. So if he came in and sat down and they said, Michael, you shot a kid. Sorry that you thought he had a stick, but you're going to jail. If they came in just heavy, treating him like a murderer, who knows what he would have said. So they're very much with the strategy of, like, let's talk about what occurred last night. Let's talk about from the beginning, using language of, we don't know what's going on. We're trying to get to the bottom of this. Okay? My nose itches. All right. So other than extremely sweaty palms, I don't think that Mikey Dunn seems too rattled by the whole situation. I think that even if he was in the right, and they did point a shotgun at him or whatever, and he shot and killed someone, I still don't think you would sit there and talk using the language that he uses. He's trying as hard as he can to be the victim and to be, this happened to me and there was nothing else I could do. But a few phrases, and I think I wrote them down as we get through this. A few phrases, it's like he can't help but brag about it a little bit. He can't help but, it's almost like he's telling the story to a bunch of friends at the Elks Club or something, the way that he talks about it. All right, let's get into it. So, lots of, yes, sir, I'm very cooperative. My name is Michael Dunn, and I am definitely not a mean, arrogant dick. Yes, sir. And they have a little laugh about football. They ask him about football, and he's like, I'm a Jacksonville fan. Okay, and then they say, let's talk about what occurred from the beginning. And then they ask him if he's on like drugs or medication, which he's not. And Mike says that he is a little tired because he hasn't slept all night. And the detectives are like, yeah, us either, Mike. You know what? We could have slept a little bit if you would have called the cops right after it happened. If you would have stayed in the parking lot and called the cops like a normal, responsible, sane gun owner that got himself in that nightmare situation, then we could have probably had a night's sleep. But we stayed up all night too, looking for the madman with a gun. They didn't say any of that, but they were like, yeah, we didn't sleep either, Mike. So Mike is tired. Poor Mike. A little tired. So Mike's tired, and he is embarrassed he goes, I'm embarrassed to say this, as he starts a story, which I agree. I would be too. I think that the whole music turned down, you talking to me story is really embarrassing. And just like, if I was Mike's buddy, be like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you engaging with teenagers that are out? There's 4 of them. They're out. It's like, you're an idiot. What did you expect to happen? So he's like, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, but... and then the first discrepancy of what he says versus what his girlfriend testifies. So he said the music wasn't playing when they pulled up and parked, but the girlfriend testified that it was, because as they pulled up, he made a comment that he doesn't like that rap crap, or the thug crap, or however he phrased it. And she was like, I know, Mike. And then she gets out of the car. I don't know if it really matters. So, according to his story, she gets out of the car to go get him a bottle of wine and chips. And he's sitting there, probably thinking about his son. And then all of a sudden, the music comes on, according to him. And it's just too much for him. His head is rattling, or it's just, he can't take it. And so he rolls down his window, and according to him, asks politely, I'm sure there was a little hint of dick in the tone. Also, too, right before, so he's, up until this story where he talks about how he told him to turn the music off, and it just is like, dude, what are you doing? Up until then, he seems like a pretty nice guy if you were just to watch the interrogation. Yes, sir, there's a rough situation. But throughout the trial, like, his neighbor did an interview that you can watch on, let me turn this heater up. His neighbor did an interview, and where he said that he was a very arrogant, intimidating. I guess you have to take it with a grain of salt because your neighbor could just hate you. But the neighbor said that a few different times the person that he was dating at the time would come over to their house freaking out and say, Mike is threatened me with his gun. So I think Mike maybe has some anger problems or arrogant problems, but he definitely has a certain type of, he doesn't have a handle on his emotions or on his temper or on his racism the way that like an average adult would, in my opinion. Okay, so he rolls down the window and says, can you please turn the music down? According to him, it was very polite, and then they did. And then Jordan Davis, according to him, who's the poor kid that lost his life in this mess, was angry about that he was told to tell it to turn it down, which I kind of get, I get both sides of it. Just bumping music sitting there in a parking lot is kind of like, all right, do you guys need attention? But they're teenagers, like I said yesterday. And so to think that you can just ask them to turn it down and it's going to go well, I don't know. So the music turns down, and then Jordan, I think probably to his friends, was like, "Why are we turning it down? Old fat face over here could move his car or do anything else. We're having our own night. Let's turn the music back up." So the music turns back up. And then this is where the story, I think Mike really has to start bending the story in his direction at this point, because there's really no way to explain how he handles the next. Even if you do ask them to turn the music down and then they turn it down and turn it back up, that's, again, you got to be done right there. He wanted to get into it with them. And if you have a temper and you know you have a gun, it's probably not the best decision for yourself to be getting into a situation like this. Like, I have a friend who is, I'm pro Second Amendment. I have a friend also that's pro Second Amendment, but he has a horrible temper, especially when he's driving. And we've had conversations where I've seen him do stuff driving where he just loses it. He'll just lose it and do something that once he's calmed down, it's like, whoa. And he always talks that he wants to get a gun. And I've told him, I'm like, dude, you lose it. Like, once or twice a month while you're driving, you literally lose it. And is it a great decision for your life to have a gun in those situations? So, I mean, you can't have one in New York City, but hypothetically, I'm like, do you really want to even give yourself that option? And I think that part of being a responsible gun owner is knowing, like, I'm a hothead and I'm an arrogant dick, and I also lose my temper once or twice a quarter to the point where I do something embarrassing. And so if Mike is this hothead, arrogant dude, it's almost like a ticking time bomb if he's got this gun always around him. And look at him now. He's sitting in the shit box for the rest of his life. He had, I think, probably enough money to almost retire. He's dating this girl. He's got a puppy named Charlie. Why even take the gun out of the... Just flushed his life down the toilet. Right past Watts' head. Just, hey, Chris, boy, hey, heard you're going for the peel. Good luck. All right, so the music comes back on, and then this is where it just gets crazy. So he's saying, I don't know if they're singing or if they're saying, kill that bitch, talking about me. Which is funny because rap music is the only type of music where kill that bitch probably could have been a lyric. But I think you would know if someone is singing or if someone is making a legitimate threat on your life. And who knows if he even was saying kill that bitch. Again, this whole like kill that bitch, where I'm going to kill you, and him going, what, you talking to me? Are you talking about me? This to me seems like a fantasy that I bet Mike has played out in his mind for years. There's two types of people that have guns, or probably more, but there's two different types of... There's responsible gun owners that have the gun to protect themselves or protect their family, or they live in a certain spot where there's bears, or, it's for protection. They know how to use it. They're not going to talk about it. You're probably not going to see it. You're not going to know it's there. And they hope more than anything that they'll never have to use it. And then there's another type who I suspect Michael is, where they fantasize and hope that they'll get into some are you talking to me situation, and they'll have to use it. And just the way that he talks about this whole thing. This to me almost seems like a situation that started happening in real life that he goes, oh, here we go. This is the fantasy. This is what I've been waiting for. Are you talking to me? And then all of a sudden he's just on trial for murder going, what happened? And it's like, okay. So where am I? All right. So then he's got the window back up. And then the music comes back on, and he starts healing. According to him, kill him. I'm gonna kill you. And it's so funny in the police interrogation. He's like, and then the music came back up, and I was just like, hey, live and let live. And it's like, Mikey, live and let live. Yeah, exactly. That should have been what you were telling yourself this whole time. You should have pulled out, driven 400 yards down the strip mall, parked, sent a text to your girl, hey, I'm down the way, there was loud music, and you would have been snuggling with Charlie. Live and let live, man. I'm Michael Dunn. Hey, live and let live. All right, so he rolls down the window again, because live and let live, right? And says, are you talking about me? Can't you just picture Mike in his like tactical pants with his gun in the mirror being like, you talking to me? Huh? Talking to me? Well, now he's playing for real. Okay, so his story is that Jordan was saying, I'm going to kill you, bitch. And then he reaches down. Or yeah, after he was like, you talking to me? Then he reaches down, pulls up a shotgun. And this is where the kind of braggy language comes in. So he's like, he picks up a shotgun. But that's when I reached into the glove box and unholstered my pistol. And I'd practiced this 1,000,000 times. And I wasn't in the military, but I got a lot of military friends that showed me. And the cops are sitting there like, yeah, cool, bro. And so he fills the door, the car door where Jordan was sitting. He feels like below the window. He shoots that 4 times. Quick, he's using phrases like quick as a flash. I had my gun out and I, perfectly aimed, and it was well practiced and well. And I just think that someone that was actually in this situation and had nothing else to do, there wouldn't be that braggy, it would be like, and I didn't know what else to do. I shot him, but this was like, and before anybody knew it, I had it out and in perfect position. Let's see here. Also, too, I had the same kind of feeling of like, if he wouldn't have been drinking at the wedding, I don't know if he would have lost his temper. It kind of reminded me of old, what's his face? The guy that killed Yardley, the guy that wanted to talk. I can't think of his name. Same type of thing though. Just got drunk and just ruined his life just of one night of drinking. All right. How can I not remember that guy's name? All right, let's see here. And so 4 in the door. They pull out, and then he shoots as the SUV is driving away 4 more into the back of the SUV, which really didn't help his whole case of they were threatening my life. And they asked him about that. They were like, you shot 4 times as they were driving away. And he said, yeah, they had a shotgun and I was trying to keep their heads down so I wouldn't get any return fire. It's like, Mike, you're not serving in the military right now. These are kids that you just shot in the parking lot. There's no. And the whole. Really, his whole freedom and his whole story relies on that shotgun. Because without the shotgun. And quicker than a flash. And so the cops don't bring it up yet. The cops are just still letting him. The cops are being very neutral with this whole thing. So when he says, like, yeah, they said this, and then I brought my gun out, it's not like, you brought your gun out for that? What are you doing? They're like, okay, all right, keep going. Letting him talk, letting him, feel like he's going home, because it just was a scary misunderstanding where someone got killed. He's really trying to sell, I was scared for my life. I saw a shotgun and I was scared for my life. It was fight or flight. I didn't feel like there was any time to flight, and so I let him have it. All right, so at 14 minutes in, he is talking about how they went back and ordered the pizza. And for the first time, the cops bring up the, why didn't you call us? That's a big question in these. You gotta call 911 if something like that happens. There's another self-defense type case that's much more self-defense, in my opinion, where the guy out of Minnesota, where the guy ended up going to jail for murder. And again, he didn't call the cops. These two kids robbed him, and he shot and killed them. But instead of calling the cops, he like drugged their bodies out to his shed or his barn for the night, and just. So you have to call the cops right away. And so they very lightly ask Michael, hey, you're ordering pizza, but you didn't call us. And we stayed up all night looking for this guy with a gun, and we've done other cases where it's like someone shoots someone gets in a similar altercation, and they drive to another parking lot and immediately call us. Why? That's our first hurdle that we got to get over. And he's like, yeah, the dog, and I wanted to go to my hometown. I didn't want to bring a shitstorm to Jacksonville, and he's got all this. And then they get to their second problem, and they say, Michael, here's another one, is there's no weapon in the car. There was no weapon. And Mike's saying, well, maybe they ditched it, and they were saying, no, they never left the parking lot. And someone in the comments yesterday was saying that, how do they know that they didn't have a weapon, or they didn't search the parking lot for 3 days? And I guess I'm not positive with that, but I'm sure that there had to have been some type of security footage at the gas station, you would think, and just, or in that, I feel like strip malls, so they maybe had footage of them just driving right out and back. But anyway, unless they did have a shotgun, which it doesn't seem likely. All the 4 kids, none of them had like violent crimes, and just roll around with a shotgun, I don't know, it seems very improbable. And so they're saying there's no weapon in the car, and Mike is stuck with just being like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. And, I saw a shotgun and I was scared for my life. And they're like, well, and he's saying they said they were going to kill me, and I saw a barrel of a shotgun. And the cop's like, well, there's no shotgun. And he goes, well, was there a stick? Did they have a stick? And that's when you know that your self-defense, stand your ground case isn't going swimmingly is when you're desperately out of left field asking the homicide detectives, did they have a stick? What about a stick? No stick? All right, I think I'm going to cut it off there. That's 20 minutes into the... That's 20 minutes into the interrogation. And right at that 20-minute mark is the first time that they treat him like a suspect. Until then, it was just all like, hey, let us know what occurred last night. We're all here just as Americans, and let's figure out what occurred. And then finally, 20 minutes in, he gets hit with, Mike, the only thing that's going to make sense to us is the truth. We've been up all night. They didn't have a gun. They didn't have a stick. I'm sorry, no stick. And we're going to need to know the truth. And Mike is just with sweaty palms being like, no stick? Uh-oh. And we'll go from there. So I hope you guys have a good weekend. Everybody that, coffee mug update. So some people have already gotten their coffee mugs, and my dad's just a madman. He has I've been telling him, like, pace yourself. It's okay. And my mom said he's been staying up till like midnight doing labels and shipping them, and their whole house, everywhere they look, is just boxes and mugs and packing material. So thank you to everyone that bought a mug. Thanks to everybody that supports on Patreon, and thanks to everybody that comments and subscribes. So fun. True Crime Loser out. Why? Stiving why?